I like to say we're a music joint, and we are. Our beers are based on names, they're based on music. Our food menu is based on music, and this is not a sporto neighborhood. This neighborhood is not into sports, and I live here, and I am into sports, but they're not. So, in which I meant to be a music joint. It wasn't. I didn't intend it to be a sports place. So, so yeah, the vibe here is about music, and this neighborhood's into the arts.
Yeah, it's extremely seasonal. For example, if I make a stout or a porter and the weather warms up, whatever's left of that beer will just sit around. There's some people that will drink dark beers year round, but the masses, they want it in the winter, and then come summer they don't want it. So this is where the whole process starts. So that's where it all begins. That's the mash tun. So I have malted barley in there, and in this particular beer I have some oatmeal in there. Yeah, so right now I'm brewing an IPA. You know, right now there's a lot of trends in craft beer, so we kind of try to keep an eye on what people are asking for, what people are drinking, and currently all the craze right now is the haze craze. So everybody wants a hazy IPA, a New England style IPA, people call them. So we decided to hop on that wagon, you know, and put one out.
You know, there are a lot of layers, I guess, and I'm not the brewer here. I used to be a brewer, but I'm not the brewer here. Dan is, and ironically, Dan is a musician. He's a great musician. So, you know, I suppose that, you know, there's 4 parts to making beer. There's yeast, water, malt, and hops, and each one, you know, does their own purpose, just like a band would be. This is a blood orange IPA, and it started out as just an IPA. He made this IPA, and it was a great IPA, and then he took a one-off, a keg, and put some blood orange into it, and it was a huge success. And since then, we've been brewing it on a much bigger scale, and it's by far our best-selling beer. And the layers of flavor in that, the orange, the nose in it is incredible. You get that blood orange, and it's not over the top flavor-wise, but the nose is, and it's a fantastic beer.
I think the craft beer consumer is beginning to be more educated on, you know, what a good beer should be. Yeah. And I think we still have a long way to go in terms of identifying flaws in beer. Yeah. And that all lies with the consumer. But I think, you know, in the next 10 years or so, you know, the cream is going to rise in terms of that. And so some of these breweries that are putting out subpar beer, eventually the consumer is going to come around and realize that these are not flavors that should be found in beer.
I like the workspace though. So it's probably very conducive to everything.
We've always had our Pilsner on tap because we know this is American, they like their light lagers, and there's no question it's a hard beer, as we spoke about, hard beer to make, and that's his baby, and we've had it from the beginning along with IPAs, but and it does go back to IPAs. In this country, if you're into craft beer, IPAs are by far the best-selling beer, there's no question. So we always have a couple of them on tap, and we continue to, hoppy beers in general.
Pilsner is actually the beer that I drink the most of here, and anytime I go to any other brewery, I always start with their very lightest beer. As you said, it's a really good way to gauge the quality of all the beers across the board. You can hide a lot of flaws in dark beers that are, you know, high gravity, full of all kinds of flavors, but you know, the lighter and the more simple you go, the more clean you have to be, the more precise on your process. So.
I became a brewer in, I think, 2009, and it's incredible what's happened in the last 7 or 8 years. It's just amazing how, when I got into it, it was already booming, and it's just gone nuts to the point where, I'm not saying we're oversaturated, we're not, but there's a lot of breweries in this city, and you know, the cream rises to the top. There are a lot of people who are opening up breweries who don't have a lot of experience, and I think it shows, and you know, since I've been around, I've learned a lot about it, but once we opened, like I said, there was no way I was going to be able to brew as well, and so I have Dan here, and he's done a fantastic job.
So these are 7-barrel fermenters, so They're roughly 250 gallons each, and then these big ones are 15 barrel, roughly 500 gallons. We have 6 single wall serving tanks. When I say single wall, it's not jacketed, so they have to be in the cooler to stay cold. So all these tanks are hooked directly up to the faucets on the wall, so you can see the serving line.
Oh, okay.
We learned that early on. You know, I brewed an Irish stout St. Patrick's Day, and then the weather warmed up, and then that Irish stout stuck around for a few months. And the beer is fine. It's not like the beer goes bad, but we just realized, you know, we got to plan ahead and make sure that we got the right styles on at the right time of the year.
Yeah, well, this city has so many pockets. Indianapolis has so many neighborhoods that are like this, and we're one of the really cool ones, no question. My wife and I actually bought a house, remodeled it right around the corner, so I walked to work in 2 minutes, and it's, like I said, Indianapolis has pockets all around, and this one was, like you said, it was industrial, and it just, I think urban living is so huge in this country, and there's no place to go once you fill up downtown. You have to go in the neighborhoods around it, and this is no exception. This one's really done well. It's great to live here. I love the neighborhood, the little places around here. It's just fun.